March 28th, 2019. We're in New Boston. We're looking at regeneration that came in from a harvest here about 20 years ago. And now I'll pan over to the east here. The wall of timber in the distant background, that's the boundary line. In the foreground, we're looking at the seed tree harvest.
Well, you know, one of the things about touring
and
is that, at least the way we tour, is we
you can see the bundles on the ground here. The skid will be back in a bit to pick these up. Grapple skidder will pull these around in a big loop because the hill where I'm standing is too steep. Wood's been on the ground for a couple of weeks now, and they'll have it wrapped up in a week. They'll have this pretty well wrapped up. The dead snags in here we've left for wildlife purposes. Birds of prey like to perch in those. And the white oak in the center of the viewfinder here that looks kind of like a skeleton, those are left for wildlife purposes. And in the near foreground here you can see another wildlife snag. These were all felled by a tracked fella buncher. Products are roundwood pulp, both softwood and hardwood, particularly hemlock on the softwood side, and hemlock sawlogs, and just a couple of loads of white pine sawlogs, and also some good charge of red oak sawlogs. So I've got my Pandora station, and the background is our soundtrack. We're looking back to the west towards the spot I was just standing for the prior video. You can see the advanced regeneration again that came in since 1999. Hoping for the same thing here in 2019. In the very distant background you can see a wall of white pine up there that was also harvested and thinned in 1999. This particular kind of a bowl area, we left this alone, but it's a good time to get in here now. Got a good stand of pine seed trees in here, and hope to get some good regeneration in here. Ground is frozen real hard. Looks like it's bare, but it's frozen hard. Skidder's going to come back in a minute. He'll pass through the main skid road, which is at the center of the viewfinder up on the hill, and he'll make a big hairpin turn across the top of the ridge. You can hear him coming now. Oh, guess he's going to make a liar out of me and come down the steep section. He won't pull the wood up there though. It's too steep. You can hear the chains biting into the frozen ground. That's a big skidder. Zoom out and makes him look small. So he'll pick up a bundle of bunched wood here and drag it up the more gradual grade on the hill. So pretty quick he'll open the grapple and back up to that hitch. That's a bundle of mixed hardwood and hemlock. be some sawlogs in there and some roundwood pulp. Idea is to slide that stuff around without banging into the trees we're trying to save. He's probably 600 feet from me now. This is the eastern edge of our cut area. Also, cut boundaries coincident with the property boundary. I reblazed and painted this red, probably 3 or 4 weeks ago now. Down at the foot of the hill here, you can see the big white area. That's a frozen little beaver pond or hand-dug pond there. We've left a little buffer around that. So right in the foreground here is a white oak with a W on it. That indicates it's reserved for a wildlife tree. The smaller white oaks to the left are cut high to protect the bigger tree behind it from getting banged up as other bunches of wood are dragged by. So they act kind of like a guardrail or a bumper. And we'll just leave those in place for the duration of the job. And as I pan around here, you can see left a fair amount of white oak in here. It's almost the northern edge of its range here in New Boston. It doesn't grow too far north of here. And for that reason, it's kind of unique. We might as well hang on to it. Put my hard hat on this bundle of wood that's yet to be picked up, give you an idea of how many trees are involved. These are all hardwood here. You can see the holes in them, so that's pulpwood quality. And in the background you can see a piece of stone wall with some red ribbon, pink ribbon on it. That's the boundary line, and the land in the background is a different owner, still one of my clients, a NEFCo client, and we did a similar project in there 5 or 6 years ago where we did a big seed tree harvest, and you can see it's beginning to green up now. Okay, we're catching the skidder just cresting the steep part of the hill here, and see the front of it bobbing up in the air there. He's got quite a hitch behind him. Once he gets on the flat ground, he'll be able to go better. Skid roads look like they're just mud, but it's just an inch on the top and it's frozen hard like a hockey rink underneath.
When I look down in the glass,
Got Beth Hart covering the classic Etta James tune, I'd Rather Go Blind, and Joe Bonamassa backing her up on guitar in the background. All right. Now he's where he can make some progress. About 300 feet away from me now. Okay, that's close enough. These are actually pretty good conditions for late March. Okay, from right to left, the biggest pile, skinniest wood is chipwood. That'll be ground up into wood chips. The pile between the chip stock and the yard crane is 8-foot pulp. You can see the circle saw spinning. There's a cradle there. The stems are laid in the cradle and cut to length. Next machine to the left is a stroke delimber, and to its left is a pile of saw logs, softwood saw logs, hemlock and white pine. And then this pile of wood in the viewfinder here is delimbed hardwood and softwood, kind of in inventory. We're waiting here at the landing now for the skidder to come back with a hitch of wood. In the background, behind the stroke delimber, is a pile of hardwood saw logs down in here. So we'll catch the skidder when it comes in and watch the process that occurs here. This is where everything gets sorted and bucked and loaded on trucks and hauled out to places far away. Okay, I can hear the skidder coming. I can hear it crunching on frozen ground. You can hear the chains, and now the skidder's in view. So he'll drop this bunch of logs and pulp between the two machines. It'll get delimbed and then bucked to length and sorted. Okay, the skidder's picking up some limbs that the stroke delimber clipped off other stems. He'll haul those back in the woods. We use those like snowshoes for better footing in soft spots. The stroke delimber is going to pick them up now one stem at a time. Okay, 2 stems at a time. So right now this is a 3-man operation. 1 skidder operator on the yard crane with the slasher saw, and then an operator on the stroke delimber. The fella buncher is here, but it's inactive right now. That's the machine that we saw in an earlier video that cuts the trees. Those limbs that he's stripping off now, those are the ones that go back into the woods. Now he'll top this off. All right, the slasher saw is going to top it and put the skinny stuff in the chip pile. Okay, he's going to cut this to 8-foot lengths. He'll fill that cradle right up, cut 8 or 10 stems at a time. And the trucks are set up to haul 8-foot pulp. The cradle's all hardwood now. This is a piece of hemlock that's going on. A little too crooked for a log. Okay, this wood that's being put on the pile will be chipped, used for boiler fuel in biomass plants where they have a wood-fired boiler. Wood chips are the fuel, and they burn them to make heat, to generate steam, to drive a turbine, to make electricity, to sell into the grid. That skinny stem is going to become 8-foot hemlock pulp, as is this one. The hemlock and the hardwood go to separate locations, so they've got to be sorted and piled on different trucks. Okay, here's a couple of tall, skinny pine trees here. So he sets the logs off. The stroke dilemma will pile those on the log pile. Try to keep a minimum amount of dirt mixed in with the chipwood so that when it goes through the knives, obviously the dirt would dull the knives, so try to keep the wood clean. So that cleans up that hitch, and I can hear the skidder coming back now. We'll close this video out for the day.